Good morning, everybody. This is Jeff Dawson, your host of the Breakfast Bankroll at EastCoastSportsInvestors.com. We're back with our weekend edition. We'll be checking in very soon with our man, Mr. Scott Webb from the Palm Tree State himself in Florida. Hope everyone's enjoying the great weather out there as we are 1 week closer to Memorial Day, and hopefully we can talk some baseball and what has gone on this weekend. Yesterday, the favorites did go 10-5. So for people like ourselves who fade the public and are more of dog and contrarian plays, we took it on the chin. But we're going to talk about some of those games and what happened there, and as well as some underovers and what to look forward to today. So without further ado, let's get Scotty here. Morning, Scotty. How are you?
I'm doing great, Jeff. How are you this morning?
I'm doing okay. I want to start off by telling everyone it's Sunday. We have coined the phrase Quicksand Sunday here at East Coast Sports since day one. It's a mentality that we think the general public, the degenerates of the world, wake up. And in our league, in our lane right now, we had a rough day in the bases, and we'll get to that yesterday. But the mentality is to get back what was yours, or to get back what you lost yesterday. And some people even think to then turn around and actually make a profit. And it's something, especially in baseball, with the crazy money lines and the prices out there, that you could get hit, stung, and you could wake up Monday morning not with just a hangover, but with nothing left in the bankroll. Your thoughts, coming off of a bad day, bad results, how do you approach the next day?
Well, I kind of like to think of things more of a basketball shooter, right? So some of these guys, you go out, you can shoot and score and shoot and score and shoot and score. And then other days you go out and shoot and miss like crazy. And the only way that you really overcome those things is if you forget what you did and you go out and you keep shooting. So if you're making your plays based off of solid analysis, really all you have to do is just keep making your plays, because over the course of time that stuff tends to average out, and you'll start winning it sooner or later. And sometimes it just seems like it's almost impossible to win, but at the same time as that, it turns around and then it seems like you can't lose, because the reality is that baseball presents a 162 game season for each team. So there's over 4,000 games. And in those games, you have first fives, you have totals, you have run lines, you have money lines, you have props, you have thousands of opportunities to make wagers over the course of a season. So regardless of whatever happens in one day or one weekend, you cannot let that affect what your bankroll looks like, because ultimately you're going to need the bankroll over all of those opportunities. So I just look at it like it's just one day, and chalk it up just like you won 3 games, and you move on to the next one.
And it's funny you say that, because in our business, most people tend to forget what you did, never mind, last week, but the week before. So when you have a big week, when you hit a 18-1 with Rory McIlroy, when you hit 2 out of the last 3 Sunday action parlays at 6, 7, 8-1, and then you wake up yesterday. We went 0-4 yesterday, Scott. We unfortunately were on the wrong side of 3 one-run games. We lost Arizona 7-6. We lose the Cubs 2-1. And then the Phillies 4-3, and then our last one, we had the Jays against your red hot Rays, who have now won 9 in a row, and 3-1. What I like to say is, we try to put yourself in position to win, and I'll use the Phillies as examples. 10 left on base last night, 5 of them by Bryce Harper. Bases loaded and first and second last night in the ninth. You get to 2 guys on base with Hopper and then Hoskins, and Segura was up before them, you're putting yourself in position, obviously, to win these games. And it does take, sometimes a little lady luck, a bleeder to right, a pass ball. I can't stress enough. If you follow these games religiously, how many 4-out innings cost you? Strike three, wild pitch, the guy lands on first. Lead off walks, 2-out walks. I mean, infield hits. I mean, it's endless, endless. The Jays yesterday, 3 errors. It just, and I vented out on Twitter. Jays are all or nothing. They can't play small ball, and the Rays just stuck it to them. So these, like you said earlier, when you are doing the homework, when you are finding edges, when you are finding value, and not cashing, not to just wake up the next morning and then just, go balls to the wall and say, oh, watch me today. It's going to end bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think in baseball, what most people don't really realize is, and there's been a lot of communication and talk about strikeouts and low batting averages and things like that. But the way baseball is today, major league pitchers are better than they've ever been. I mean, there is no other time that a Major League Baseball has had pitchers like they do today. And that comes from two things. It comes from, one, obviously the skill, the athletes they are, and they just continue to get better, which is same on our offense. But they have the information and the data and the drive times, the different places that they go to get the Rapsodo machines and all that stuff to get the information that makes the ball spin better. How many times in your career can you remember baseball pitchers gaining velocity over the course of years? It doesn't happen. They don't gain velocity, but they do now. I mean, they go from 92 miles an hour. Now they're throwing 95. And the reason for that is they learn more about how to pitch. The ball moves more. The spin rates are different than what they've ever been before. So hitting is the most difficult thing that it has ever been. That being said, the game has changed. You get a lot of people out there that complain about, and I do too, but I mean, there's no action in the game. You don't get a lot of hits. They don't do hit and runs. They don't do a lot of different things. I think that's kind of dumb in its sense that the managers can influence how baseball games are played, but they don't need to score by stringing runs together anymore. They don't try to do that. If you try to string hits together and you're batting 232 or 234, whatever it is, that's the league average, 234 for all the teams. That's what they hit. So if you're reliant on that to score because you're going to put 2-3 of these hits together, it's not going to work. So the home run is important, but really it's the extra base hit. So when you're really looking at how to measure these games and what to look at, you want to look at total bases for offense, not just hits. Singles don't matter anymore. It's how many doubles, triples, and home runs can you get, because those are what I call damaging blows. And the more damaging blows one team has over another team, I assure you that team's going to win the game, because the pitching is solid. I mean, you're averaging 94 miles an hour fastballs these days, 93 miles an hour fastballs. They're the best sliders that they've ever been. The changeups are just phenomenal. The locations where these guys can throw the ball is just it's incredible. So when you want to score, you have to score by getting a walk. You get the guy moved over to second base, and the next guy up hits a double. That's how you score. And the more often that you have guys that can hit doubles and triples, home runs, those are the guys that really are the most valuable players on the team. And I get it, these guys that bat 215 and hit 30 home runs, nobody likes that because they're just home run hitters. But they're the guys driving in the runs, and baseball still is about scoring runs. And I think that's one of the most forgotten things is the players who consistently are RBI guys. Just look them up. They're the ones. They're the guys that drive the offense. Used to be at the table setters at the beginning of the lineup, and then RBI guys in the middle. They spread those guys out all over the place now. Who knows who's batting where anymore? It's crazy how the managers statistically put lineups together, or by feel or whatever they do. Like the New York Yankees lineup, I can never figure out what they're doing. I mean, not one time. I can't. I mean, it's amazing. How can you bat Aaron Hicks fourth in a lineup with the New York Yankees lineup? I mean, it makes no sense to me. Of course, now he's not batting at all because he's hurt. But at the same time, now they have Gio Urshela batting fourth, for God's sakes. But whatever. I mean, it's Major League Baseball, and they do everything for a reason, and I'm sure they're trying to figure it out, just like everybody else is.
I just want to. We have a couple comments from a good friend, Mr. Baby Gorilla, basically saying, "Thanks, guys. Enjoy the conversation, and stop picking on my Phillies, Jeff. Price coming up small lately." And again, thank you so much for reaching out, because it's true. A lot of people do not follow these games. I mean, if you have a hometown favorite team and you just put them on every day religiously, that's fine. Someone like myself, I have the direct TV package. So I have 8 games going at once. I'll have the volume obviously on one, and then I'll be diving into my phone. So when I see the infield hit, I see the error, and then I go back. It is just so frustrating that, if people just look at the end results and don't see how it got there, it just, I know we're an instant gratification, let's win and win now, wins and losses, because that event, that moves your bankroll. But, I always coin the phrase, right side, wrong result. And there's plenty of times where, you out hit the team. You leave 10, 12, 13 guys on base, and it just wasn't your day. So again, thank you, Mr. Baby Gorilla. And yes, we're not picking on your Phillies, but and you are favored today. Opened at 115, and Mr. Wheel is up to 132. So they're going to stop the bleeding today, Vegas says, against Erod. So again, thank you so much. I want to go to some overnight action, Scotty. I want to pull up a couple games that kind of grabbed my attention, and maybe you can compare on what you see with your odds, and we can take some some left side, right side views from there. So let's go to some overnight action right now. Scotty, the first game that really jumps out at me, and this is for anyone watching here, anyone into baseball the first 6-7 weeks will cringe here. Milwaukee and Cincinnati, Peralta versus Castillo, 110 first pitch, rotation number 953, 954. And we're going to take a closer look here. Let's see if we can pull this up here for everyone. You're going to see here, Milwaukee opened up minus 125 and currently now at 115. We're showing 65% of the bets, 74% of the money on Milwaukee, and yet the line has dropped 10 cents on the Milwaukee side, currently at 115, and they're giving you the Cincinnati play still here at plus 105. Castillo has been a train wreck. He's been an auto fade for everyone playing high stakes fantasy baseball at the NFBC. An early, late second, early third round pick, and he is just blown up like a wood tick. Any thoughts on this game, Scotty?
Yeah, I looked at that game as a possibility because Peralta and again, I'm using the last 30 days here. I'm not using the full schedules here. So he's got a 2.66 Sierra number, which is It's the very best number on the board today. I mean, he's the best pitcher in terms of an advanced ERA number, and his xFIP's a 302. So he's very solid performance over the last 30 days. What concerns me is not so much that he's a good pitcher or that he's been doing well. And his batting average against is 138. His whip rate is 0.74. So he's not even allowing, one guy on base per inning. What bothers me is that he has, they're at the point now where over his last 7 games, his last 2 games have been outlier performances to the high side, meaning that they've been very, very good to a point in which there's got to be regression here because pitchers don't throw that well. So if you use game score, I use game score as an average. An average is 50. His game score the last time out was 76, and the game score prior to that was 84. So he's got 2 super high performances, which means he pitched deep in the game, didn't give up very many runs, and had lots of strikeouts. That's what it means. So as you look at that, these guys aren't robots. So the last time that he had 2 really good starts, I shouldn't say 2, he had 2 good starts. He threw a game score of 51 and then a game score of 68. And then right after the 68, he threw a game score of 35. That's what happens. Pitchers will get hit and they will have a bad day and they don't have the same stuff that they always do. And he's ripe for that scenario. And Castillo, on the other hand, hasn't had a good game all year. So I'm not going to suggest that he's going to have a good game today, but Milwaukee's not exactly the cream of the crop hitting. So if you're looking at value, the value makes sense that people would want to play on the Cincinnati Reds today, and the public would want to be on Milwaukee.
A quick note for everyone out there. The Mets have now added Yamamoto as their starter today. Rotation number 951, 952, a 110 start, and he will be facing Poteet. So Yamamoto, for all your Mets fans, is your starter today. Next game, one that we got bid on yesterday, Arizona and Colorado, 957, 958 on your rotation, a 310 open and start. First pitch, Widener versus Gray. And we're showing right here. Let's pull this one up. Colorado opened up minus 155, currently at 135. Arizona opened up at plus 135 and now plus 122. We have a split on the bets here, 53%, 47 lean Colorado, but some sharper, heavier money has moved in on Arizona at a 67 to 33 split. Anything on Widener? I know Gray, hot and cold, shows flashes. Don't know much about Widener, Scotty.
Well, Widener hasn't pitched for 30 days. He has been on the disabled list, and I wrote it down. Where is he at here? He had a groin injury, so he's coming back from a groin injury. And in his first 4 starts that he pitched, using game score again, his last time out was a 35. He's had a 65. He had a 39 and a 67. So he's been hot and cold. He's been either really good or he's been really bad. The issue here for me, and what I'm looking at more importantly, is both of these pitchers can be capitalized upon. But over the last 7 days, the offenses, Colorado ranks 30th out of 30 teams, and Arizona ranks 29th out of 30 teams. So they are both anemic on offense right now. And the question becomes is, can they really take advantage of these pitchers or not? When you look at Widener, he has a 4.59 Sierra number, which is in the red, which means he's in the bottom third of the league. And then Gray is at 4.24, which is kind of in the middle. He's kind of more average-ish. So neither one are big strikeout guys. Neither one are big walk guys. So when it comes to kind of what do you see, it's whose offense can really take advantage of the mediocre pitching that you're going to face today. And I'm not sure either one can. So that over under total is like 12 or something, isn't it?
What do we have? 11 and a half juiced, 110 both sides. 58% of the bets, 95% of the money is on the under. So I think a lot of people are seeing exactly what you see there as well.
Yeah, the only concern I would have to anybody playing the totals is we do so much about looking at, and there's winds blowing out. I know the wind's blowing out hard. Um,
17.4 miles an hour, dead center.
yeah, and you really got to look at the bullpens. And the worst bullpen going right now is the Angels, but Colorado is 25th. So not only do they have, I would say they have the better pitcher on the mound, but they have a worse bullpen, and neither offense is any good. So I'm not sure where I would go in this game. If I guess if anything, most people would probably tend to play with the wind out there and the light air and want to play that game over. But I don't know if these hitters can capitalize or not.
I got a head scratcher for you here. We're going to stay local for you here. Rotation number 965, 966. Your Tampa Bay Rays wheeling out Walker and Toronto with Ryu. We talked about Tampa with a 9-game winning streak and absolutely in fuego. Maybe you have something to justify what's going on here with the numbers when we pull that up. Toronto opened at 167, currently at 162. 56% of the bets, 85% of the money, all rolling in on Toronto. We were very, very successful with Ryu last year. He was very profitable for us at East Coast Sports. This year hasn't been that same Ryu. Uh, uh, Listen, I think Toronto's a great team, young, gonna be one of those up and coming teams. I think they got small balled yesterday, and they weren't ready for it. I mean, you blink and they put up a crooked number in that park, especially. But can you give any validation on why that Ryu and Toronto would be such a big favorite today?
The only valid reason that I can think of is today is the last home game that they're going to play in Dunedin. So they're going to start playing their home games after today in Buffalo. So they may want to give the fans there a welcoming hey, thanks for coming out. We're going to do the best we can to win today, kind of an idea. And they don't want to get swept at home and all that kind of stuff. I haven't really felt like they've had a home field advantage in Dunedin, but at the same time, I made this line 138. So I had Ryu at 138 over the Rays, and the one I was pretty surprised to see it at 170. I don't like to bet on pitchers coming off of injuries, and Waka's making his first start in 30 days. His issue was a hamstring, so I tend to stay away from those guys. But I did listen to Kevin Cash's comments yesterday. He said Walker was throwing 95, 96 miles an hour, and he was ready to go. So that's a good sign for the Rays. And the Rays winning 9 straight games, obviously they're due to lose. So on a contrarian level, you do that. But I don't ever try to predict when those streaks are going to stop, because who's to say it's going to stop today? They've faced Ryu many times. It's not like they haven't seen him before. They've already faced him this year twice. Ryu pitched well the first time he faced him and then didn't pitch as well the second time. So I kind of like the idea here that you're getting value with the Rays, and no ifs, ands, or buts. They shouldn't be 170 favorite for Toronto, or I guess that puts them at like what 155 as a dog. So I mean that's great value. And when you're playing baseball bets, that's what you do. You bet value.
All right, I'm going to flip the stage to you. Is there a game that you would like to break down today?
I made two plays today, and the one game that I think um, really has an interest in my mind. I played on the Houston Astros are taking on the Texas Rangers today, and that is for most people who are not necessarily either baseball fans or not national baseball fans. They like their local teams. This is a rivalry. Okay, so Texas plays Houston tough all the time. And it's not unusual to see like they have coming in where Houston was just dominant, beating up everybody. And then all of a sudden now Texas has played them twice really well and beat them. So that's not unusual to see. However, over the course of time, the better team usually wins out. My thoughts here is I don't want to. Let's back up. Houston also has one of the worst bullpens going right now in the last 7 days or 14 days. They show one, two, three. They show 26th out of 30 teams. So I don't like the idea that I need to cover runs when you are got a bad bullpen. But in the first 5 innings, you're betting on the starting pitcher. So we have a big edge on the starting pitcher today. Hence the line, I think, is minus 170 or 175, something like that now. Um, and if you change that to a first five money line wager, then you're looking at the Astros minus 120. And all you have to do is win the first 5 innings. You gotta win by one. And when I looked at it in a sense that Fulton Avich is on the mound for Texas, and he has a 15% strikeout rate, which is really low. And his batting average against is 330 with a 158 whip rate. So he's got more than 1.5 guys on base per inning and a batting average against of 330, and he doesn't strike anybody out. Now consider that going against the Houston offense, and then it puts it in perspective to a certain degree that you expect Houston to get some runs. And then what I liked about the other side is Javier has pitched really well for most of the season, but he's off of a bad start. His last time out, he had a game score of 45. His season is a game score of 57. So we said 50 is average. So he's well above average. Your ace type pitchers are going to be 60 or above, and he's near that. So he's been really, really good. I would expect him to have a really good start today. So I like the idea that Houston can cover a half a run in the first 5 innings. So that was my first play. And then the other play that I took was I took the St. Louis Cardinals tonight with Wainwright against Davies and the Cubs. I know I think it's like minus 130, something like that, 133 maybe. And neither one of these two guys are strikeout guys. But what I liked about it is anytime a starting pitcher has a real bad game, which Wainwright did his last time out. I use game score a lot. We talked about it. His game score number was 6. So that means he lasted about 2 innings and gave up 7 runs or something like that. So usually when a guy has a game like that, they turn that right around and have a really strong outing the next time. And they're facing the Cubs and Davies. And Davies is a 5.59 Sierra number and a batting average against of 276 and a whip rate of 152. So the Cardinals can hit. The Cardinals can hit him. And Wainwright has been in this rivalry with the Cubs for a long time. So I would expect him to have a good night tonight. And I think that the Cardinals will win that game. So those are the two games that I played.
All right, so everyone listening here on Twitterville or Facebook or IG Live, Scotty's two plays for today. Rotation number 971 Houston, first 5 minus a half run. Is that correct, Scott?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, and then the ESPN game, which gets a lot of people excited. Thank you, Scotty. 7:08 first pitch, rotation number 962, the St. Louis Cardinals. I currently have Wainwright minus 137. So any closing thoughts?
The one thing that we had talked about earlier, and I just wanted to hit you with a couple of numbers here. what website is it? Baseballreference.com. They have some numbers that I think you might be surprised at. I'm going to get you to guess at two of them. They have a stat that's called plate appearances with no outs and a runner on second base. And how many times would you think that they advanced the runner in terms of what do you think the league average is? So let me repeat what I said. Plate appearances with nobody out. There's a runner on second base, and they advance the runner. So how many times do you think that happens?
Well, if you're saying the league average is around 233, now you can advance a runner, obviously, with a ground out, a long fly
Yep.
ball, whatever. But I would say it's extremely low. I would venture to guess that it would probably be advance that runner, strikeout walk ratio, home run. I would probably put that in about the 16%.
Oh, it's way higher than that. It's 50%. And what I look at is, okay, so you got a guy on second base, and if you're going to move the runner, you got two chances to move the runner. So you can move the guy with two outs. And the
Oh, see, I
reality,
thought you were just talking with that batter.
oh no, it can be two out. You got
Oh, okay.
yeah.
I
So
misunderstood you there.
yeah, and it's no worries. What they're doing is they're looking at, okay, so everybody has the idea that we're going to move base runners, and I think that's a great idea, but it only happens 50% of the time. You got a guy on second base with less than two outs, you move the guy half the time. That's not good enough in Major League Baseball. And the other one that I thought was even more daring, if you want to call it that, how many times do you think with less than two outs and a runner is on third base, the runner scores?
Well, for me, yesterday was zero, but I'll say two outs. He scores
It's
28%.
it's less than two outs.
28% of the time.
He scores 49% of the time. So
Wow.
think about that. So you got one out or zero outs and a guy on third base, and the pitchers are that good that they don't allow that guy to score at 50% of the time. It's really 49 and a half. So what that tells you is that the offense is all about hitting and delivering on those extra base hits. And there is a measure in the sabermetric world that measures that, and it's called ISO. It's ISO. It's I don't remember what the acronym stands for right now, but really it's a measure of extra base hits. And those are the guys that you want to follow. Those are the teams you want to watch. And if you're really looking at how teams do on offense, follow that number a little bit and see if you can get any kind of other sort of evaluations out of it, because I think that might lead you to a path of being a little bit successful here.
All right. So what I'd like to do is thank everyone that has grabbed a cup of coffee, or maybe even a nice Bloody Mary, a mimosa to start the beautiful Sunday, and following the breakfast bankroll with myself and Scotty. We'll be back live, we're hoping, on Monday and Tuesday, and then we will figure out the rest of the week there. Everyone, enjoy your Sunday. Always invest and wager responsibly, and don't overstep your boundaries, especially on Sunday, like we like to stay here. We call it Quicksand Sunday for a reason. So stay in your lane, enjoy the games, cash a few tickets, and we'll see you tomorrow.